It was a bright morning at the Faculty of Education, and Professor Mostafa stood before his class, ready to explore an exciting topic. His students, Tarek, Layla, and Sarah, sat at the front, eager to dive into the day's lesson. Good morning, everyone, Mostafa greeted. Today, we'll discuss vocabulary learning, strategies to master it, and how digital stories can help. Let me start with a question. Why is learning vocabulary important? Tarek raised his hand. Because without vocabulary, we can't express ourselves or understand others. Exactly. Mostafa replied, writing on the board. Vocabulary learning equals acquiring, understanding, and using words effectively. Vocabulary is the foundation of communication, Mostafa continued. But how do we learn it effectively? Let's explore some strategies. Turning to Layla, he asked, Layla, can you think of a way to learn new words? Using context clues, she offered. Brilliant, Mostafa said. Context clues help us infer the meaning of a word from the surrounding text or sentence. For example, in the sentence, the forest was teeming with wildlife. What do you think teeming means? Layla thought for a moment. It must mean full of, because the forest has a lot of wildlife. Spot on, Mostafa exclaimed.
He turned to Sarah next.
Sarah, what's another strategy? Repetition and practice, she replied confidently. Excellent, Mostafa said. Repetition helps us retain new words. For instance, if you encounter the word resilient multiple times in different contexts, you're more likely to remember it. Tarek chimed in, what about breaking down words into parts, like prefixes and roots? Great point, Tarek, Mostafa said. This is called word analysis. For example, the word misunderstood can be broken down as mis, wrongly, plus understood. By analyzing it, we understand its meaning better. Mostafa paused dramatically, then smiled. Now, here's where things get interesting. How do you think digital stories can help with vocabulary learning? Layla raised her hand. They show words in context, like in a story or a conversation. Exactly, Mostafa said, his eyes lighting up. Digital stories are a powerful tool because they combine text, images, and sound, making learning more engaging. Imagine a digital story about a journey across the desert. It introduces words like oasis, dune, and mirage in a memorable way. Sarah added, and you can rewatch them to review the words. Absolutely, Mostafa agreed. Repetition and reinforcement are key. Plus, digital stories cater to different learning styles, visual, auditory, and kinesthetic. Tarek leaned forward, excited. So, digital stories don't just teach vocabulary, they make it fun and relatable. That's exactly the idea, Mostafa said. Let's try creating our own digital story for practice. Think of a simple narrative, like a trip to a new city, and include at least 5 new words. This way, you'll see how stories can make vocabulary come Tarek. The students began brainstorming ideas, their notebooks filling with sketches and notes. As the class wrapped up, Mostafa looked at his students with pride. Remember, he said, learning vocabulary isn't just about memorizing words. It's about understanding and using them in meaningful ways. And digital stories? They're your secret weapon. Layla, Tarek, and Sarah left the classroom buzzing with ideas, ready to craft their own stories and embrace a new way of learning.